AITA for walking away after my son punched me and screamed he wanted me gone. The punch came so fast I did not even see it coming. 1 second I was standing in the kitchen, trying to talk calmly to my 17-year-old son about why he had skipped school again. The next, my head snapped back and the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. "That's enough," I yelled as I touched my split lip. "You can't solve everything by fighting." But Samuel was already beside himself. His eyes had that look I had learned to recognize over the last 2 years, that mix of fury and contempt that made my blood run cold. "Get out of my life," he screamed at me in a voice that seemed to come from the depths of his throat. "I'm sick of you and your damn lectures." My wife, Fiona, ran in from the living room when she heard the shouting. Her eyes darted between my bleeding face and the trembling figure of our oldest son. "What happened here?" she asked, though I think she already knew. "Your husband is messing with me again," Samuel mumbled, rubbing his knuckles. "I can't stand living in this house anymore." Fiona looked at me with those eyes that said 1,000 things at once. Mainly, "Please, don't make this worse." It was always like that. She worked all day as an accountant at a firm, came home exhausted, and the last thing she wanted was to deal with our family conflicts. But this time it was different. This time there was blood. "Samuel, go to your room," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the pain. "We'll talk when you calm down." "There's nothing to talk about," he replied, already walking toward the stairs. "And don't you ever speak to me again." 20 minutes later, as I was cleaning the wound in the bathroom, my phone buzzed. A message from Samuel: "You're dead to me. I wish you had never been my father." That is when I knew something inside me had broken for good. Do you know what is more painful than the punch? Remembering when that same boy used to run to the door every time I came home from work, when he would ask me to read him stories before bed, when he told me he wanted to be like Dad when he grew up. Everything changed when he turned 15. At first, it was small things. He stopped doing his homework unless we reminded him 5 times. He started coming home late from school without explanations. His grades, which used to be on the honor roll, began to decline gradually. Fiona and I chalked it up to adolescence. "It's normal," she would tell me. "All boys go through this." Since we both worked full-time, me in construction, her in accounting, we thought maybe he needed more attention, more quality time. I tried everything. I signed him up for soccer. He quit after 3 weeks because the coach was an idiot. I planned father-son camping trips. He complained the whole time and spent it on his phone. I bought him the video game console he wanted so badly for his 16th birthday. He did not even thank me. Each failed attempt hurt more than the last. It was like watching your son drown and have him refuse every life preserver you threw him. The real problems started last year. He would come home smelling of alcohol, lying blatantly about where he had been. His friends changed. We no longer knew any of the kids who came to pick him up in their beat-up cars. "It's just a phase," Fiona insisted whenever I expressed my concern. "He'll mature." But I saw something different in his eyes, a coldness that scared me, especially when he looked at his younger siblings, 14-year-old Sophia and 12-year-old Michael. He treated them like they were in his way. Sometimes he would accidentally shove them as they walked past him. He yelled at them for anything. Last month, Michael came to my room crying. "Dad, why is Samuel so mean to me?" he asked me with that broken voice that children only have when they do not understand why the world has turned cruel. He used to play with me. I did not know what to tell him. How do you explain to a 12-year-old that his older brother is turning into someone you no longer recognize? I tried to talk to Samuel about his behavior toward his siblings. His response was clear: "They're not my problem. If they don't like how I am, they can get lost." That is when I started to feel like I was losing my son for good. The problem was that Fiona, as much as she worked all day, still saw him as her baby. Every time I tried to set firm boundaries, she would intervene. "Don't be so hard on him," she would tell me. "You know how you get when you're strict." But strict was an understatement. I grew up in a house where respect was non-negotiable, where hitting your father was unthinkable, where the consequences of your actions were clear and immediate. Samuel had grown up in a different world, a world where Fiona and I worked so much that we often came home too tired to supervise him properly, a world where he had learned he could manipulate our exhaustion and our guilt to his advantage. The last week had been especially difficult. On Tuesday, he came home drunk. When I confronted him, he lied straight to my face, saying he had been studying at a friend's house. On Thursday, he skipped school completely. The school's automated system called me at work. That night, I tried to have a serious conversation with him. Samuel, this can't go on, I said. Your grades are terrible. You're skipping school. You're coming home drunk. What's going on with you? He laughed. He literally laughed in my face. You know what, Dad? You can't do anything to stop me. Absolutely nothing. I'm a minor. You can't kick me out of the house, and Mom will always be on my side. He was right, and we both knew it. That night, after Fiona fell asleep, I lay awake thinking. I searched online about troubled teens, about boundaries, about what to do when your child becomes aggressive. I found articles about tough love, about natural consequences, about the importance of not letting destructive behavior continue without limits. I also found something that made my blood run cold: information about domestic violence from children toward parents. Apparently, it was more common than I thought, but I never imagined my research would become relevant so soon. This morning, when I asked him why he had skipped school again, when I told him there had to be consequences, when I tried to act like a responsible father, he decided the consequence would be to split my lip. Now I am here, cleaning the blood, reading his hateful message, and for the first time in years, I see everything with total clarity. My son does not respect me because I have never done anything to show him that respect is not optional. I took out my phone and took pictures of my split lip, of the bruise that was forming on my cheek. I did not know exactly what I would need them for, but something told me I was going to need them. Because Samuel was right about one thing. I could not do anything to stop him, but I was about to find out that there was someone who could. That night, I did not sleep at all. I stayed awake looking at the photos on my phone. My split lip, the bruise spreading across my cheek, the reddish mark where his knuckles had made contact with my face. But it was not the physical pain that kept me awake. It was the rage that had been building up for 2 years and had finally found clarity. My son had hit me in my own home, in front of his mother, and then sent me a message telling me I was dead to him. Do you know what the last straw was? It was not the punch, it was remembering what had happened 3 days earlier. Michael, my 12-year-old son, had come home from school crying because he had forgotten his lunch money. He was hungry and embarrassed. I was at work, but Fiona called me, desperate. I don't have any cash and the school office closes in half an hour, she told me. I dropped everything at my construction site, drove 15 minutes home, picked up some money, and rushed to the school. I got there just in time for Michael to eat. That same afternoon, when I got home, Samuel was in the kitchen eating pizza he had ordered with my credit card without asking my permission. The third time that week. Samuel, you can't keep using my card without telling me, I said wearily. Today I had to leave work to bring your brother lunch, and here you are spending money on pizza. You know what, he replied. Relax, it's just pizza. Don't be so cheap. Cheap, he called me. The one who had driven half an hour in heavy traffic so his younger brother would not go hungry. But the story does not end there. 2 hours later, Samuel came to my room. Dad, I need money to go out with my friends. Seriously? You just spent $30 of my money on pizza, and now you need more. That's different. It's for my friends. Samuel, I'm not giving you any more money today. That is when he exploded. You're the worst dad in the world, he yelled at me. All my friends have normal parents who support them. All you think about is money. And he left, slamming the door so hard it shook the whole house. Fiona came running down. What happened now? Your son just told me I'm the worst dad in the world because I wouldn't give him more money after he spent it on pizza without permission. And do you know what my wife said to me? Oh, don't pay any attention to him. Teenagers say things without thinking. Besides, it was just pizza. Just pizza? While I had left my job so Michael would not go hungry, Samuel was treating me like his personal ATM. That night was the first time I seriously thought that I had completely lost control of my own house. But the incident that really opened my eyes had happened the month before. The day I learned that my son not only did not respect me, but he was destroying the peace of the entire family. Sophia, my 14-year-old daughter, came into my room one Saturday morning. Her eyes were red from crying. Dad, I need to tell you something about Samuel. She sat on my bed and told me that the night before, while Fiona and I were sleeping, Samuel had come home drunk with 3 friends. They came in through the living room window. They woke Michael and me up with the noise, she said. When I went downstairs to ask them to keep it down, Samuel yelled at me to mind my own business. And then, one of his friends started saying weird things to me. asking if I had a boyfriend, if I wanted to try alcohol. I was really scared, Dad. I locked myself in my room with Michael. My blood ran cold. Samuel didn't do anything? He was laughing. Dad, he was laughing while his friend was saying those things to me. My 14-year-old daughter had been afraid in her own home because of her older brother. I confronted Samuel immediately. Is it true you brought drunk friends to the house last night? We weren't drunk. We were just having fun. Sophia told me your friend said inappropriate things to her. It's not my fault if Sophia is a drama queen. Samuel, she's your sister. You were supposed to protect her. He looked at me with that smirk I had learned to hate. I'm not Sophia's bodyguard. If she didn't like it, she should have stayed in her room. That is when I knew my son had become someone I did not recognize, someone who was capable of letting a stranger intimidate his younger sister just to look cool with his friends. But there was still more, because 3 weeks later something happened that made me understand that I was not just losing my son, but that he was actively sabotaging our family. It was a Tuesday night. Fiona was working late, preparing some important reports for her company. The kids were doing homework at the dining room table. Everything was quiet for the first time in weeks. Samuel arrived at 11 at night, completely drunk. Again, he came in yelling, throwing his keys, waking up the whole neighborhood. Dad, where's my charger? Samuel, keep your voice down. Your siblings are sleeping and your mom is working. I don't care. I need my charger. He started searching all over the house, throwing things, making noise. He woke up Michael and Sophia. He interrupted Fiona's work. Samuel, go to your room. We'll talk tomorrow when you're sober. No, I need my charger now. And that is when he did something I will never forgive. He went into Michael's room, turned on the light, and started rummaging through his 12-year-old brother's things, looking for the charger. Michael woke up scared. Samuel, what are you doing? Someone stole my charger, and I'm going to find it. Michael started to cry. I don't have your charger. Please let me sleep. But Samuel kept tearing everything apart, throwing toys on the floor, yelling at him that he was a liar. When I got to the room, I found Michael crying in his bed while his older brother destroyed his room in a drunken tantrum. Samuel, get out of here right now. Someone has my charger. You are not going to yell at your brother. Get out of the room. And do you know what he did? He pushed me. Not hard, but he pushed me in front of Michael. Don't touch me, he yelled at me. My 12-year-old son saw his older brother push me. He saw that I did nothing. He saw that Samuel got away with it again. That night, after cleaning Michael's room and comforting him until he fell asleep, I sat on the living room couch and cried. I had completely lost authority in my own home. My younger children were growing up thinking it was normal for their older brother to treat us like garbage. My wife always found excuses to defend the indefensible, and for the first time in my life, I was afraid of my own son. The next morning, I called my work and asked for time off for a doctor's appointment. I lied. I actually went to see the therapist Fiona, and I had consulted months before. I told him everything. The incident with Sophia, the scene in Michael's room, the constant escalation of aggression. What do you feel when you think about your son? He asked me. The question took me by surprise. I was expecting him to give me advice on boundaries or communication. I feel fear, I admitted. Anger, a lot of anger. Fear of what? That he'll hurt his siblings, that he'll hurt me, that he'll completely destroy our family. The therapist was quiet for a long moment. Have you considered that maybe this is no longer about teenage discipline problems? What do you mean? Your son is exhibiting behaviors of domestic abuse, intimidation, manipulation, escalation of physical violence. The fact that he is your son does not change the nature of his actions. Those words hit me like a bucket of cold water. But he's my son. Exactly. And as his father, your responsibility is to protect the rest of your family, even if that means protecting them from him. He gave me a card. If you decide you need to take more serious measures, there are legal resources available. Domestic violence does not distinguish by age or kinship. I put the card in my wallet and tried not to think about it for the next few weeks, until last night, until my son decided to respond to a conversation about responsibilities by splitting my lip. Now, at 3 in the morning, with the photos of my injuries on my phone, I took that card out of my wallet, and for the first time in 2 years, I knew exactly what I had to do. Samuel was right about one thing. I could not do anything to stop him, but there was someone who could. At 6 in the morning, while everyone was still asleep, I got dressed, took the photos of my injuries, and left the house. My son had crossed the final line. It was time to teach him that actions have real consequences, even if it meant losing my son forever. The officer at the police station looked at me with a mixture of surprise and compassion when I explained why I was there. "Your son did this to you?" he asked, pointing to the photos on my phone. "Yes, last night. I'm 45 years old, and my 17-year-old son punched me in the face because I asked him for an explanation about his school absences." The officer, a man in his 50s with graying temples, leaned back in his chair. "Do you know that if you file this report, there will be real consequences for him?" "That's exactly the point." He explained the process to me. Since Samuel was a minor, the case would go to the juvenile court system. There would be court summons, possible protection orders, mandatory community service, psychological therapy, and a juvenile record that could affect his future. "Once you sign these papers, there's no turning back," he warned me. "Are you sure you want to do this?" I thought of Michael crying in his bed, of Sophia locking herself in her room out of fear, of 2 years of constant escalation with no real consequences. Completely sure. I signed the formal complaint for domestic assault at 9:15 in the morning. At 11:30, 2 officers were knocking on my door. I had returned an hour earlier. I told Fiona I had left early to run some errands. Samuel had just woken up and was eating breakfast as if nothing had happened. When the doorbell rang, Fiona went to answer it. "Good morning, ma'am. We're from the police department. We're looking for Samuel." I saw Fiona's face turn pale from the kitchen. "Samuel, what are you looking for him for?" "We have a summons for a case of domestic violence." "Is he home?" Samuel came out of the kitchen with a piece of toast in his hand. "What's going on?" "Are you Samuel, 17 years old?" "Yes." "What?" "Your father filed a formal complaint for assault. You need to come with us to give a statement." The silence that followed was the most satisfying thing I had felt in 2 years. Samuel looked at me as if I had betrayed him with the worst imaginable betrayal. "Dad, what did you do?" "What I should have done a long time ago." "You can't be serious." "I'm your son." "Exactly. You're my son, and as your father, it's my responsibility to teach you that hitting people has consequences." Fiona intervened, hysterical. "You're calling the police on our own son? Have you lost your mind?" "Fiona, our son split my lip last night and told me I was dead to him. If it were anyone else, he would have already been arrested." The officers interrupted us. "Folks, we can discuss this later. Samuel, you need to come with us now." I saw something in my son's eyes I had never seen before. Real fear, not the manipulative fear he used to get what he wanted. Genuine fear of the consequences. "Dad, please, don't do this. I can change." "You've had 2 years to change, Samuel. You decided to punch me instead." He left with the police. Fiona stood in the doorway, trembling. "What have you just done?" she whispered. "Saved our family." The next 3 hours were the most difficult of my marriage. Fiona yelled at me, insulted me, threatened to leave the house, accused me of betraying the family, of ruining Samuel's future, of choosing revenge over paternal love. "He's our son," she screamed over and over. "Exactly, Fiona. He's our son, not just yours." And our other son was afraid of his brother. Our son allowed a stranger to intimidate his sister. Our son hit me last night. Where in that do you see family love? Sophia and Michael got home from school at 2 in the afternoon. When they found out what had happened, their reactions confirmed I had done the right thing. Michael, my 12-year-old son, hugged me and whispered in my ear, "Thank you, Dad. I'm not going to be scared anymore." Sophia cried with relief. "Does this mean he won't come home drunk with his friends anymore?" "Not for a while, sweetie. And when he comes back, he's going to have to follow real rules." Samuel returned home at 5 in the afternoon with a summons to appear before the juvenile court judge in a week. His eyes were red and his attitude was completely changed. "Dad, we need to talk." "Now you want to talk?" "Please, this is going to ruin everything for me. College, my future, everything." "Samuel, you ruined everything last night when you decided to hit me." "It was an impulse. I was angry. I didn't think." "Exactly. You didn't think, because you've never had to think about the consequences of your actions." "That's over." He started to cry. Real tears, not the manipulative crying he had learned to use with his mother. "Dad, please, drop the charges. I'll do anything. I'll behave, I promise." "Samuel, You've promised me you would behave 500 times in the last 2 years. Last night you promised me something different, that I was dead to you. I didn't mean it. To me you did. The hearing was the following week. Samuel had to stand in front of a judge and admit that he had hit his father. The judge, a woman in her mid-50s with a serious expression, explained to him that domestic violence included aggression towards parents. Young man, do you understand that hitting your parents is a serious crime? Yes, ma'am. And do you understand that your actions not only affect you, but your entire family? Yes, ma'am. The sentence was exactly what he needed. 80 hours of community service at a nursing home, mandatory psychological therapy for 6 months, and a protection order that prohibited him from addressing me in an aggressive or disrespectful manner. But the most important thing was the record. For the first time in his life, Samuel faced a consequence he could not manipulate, avoid, or have his mom fix. The first few days after the hearing were tense. Samuel was resentful. Fiona barely spoke to me, and the house felt like a battlefield. But something changed when Samuel started his community service. The first week, he came home complaining about how unfair it all was. The second week, he came home quiet. The third week, he came home thoughtful. Dad, he said one afternoon, there's a man at the home named Mr. Richard. His children never visit him. He told me that when they were young, they treated him badly, yelled at him, ignored him, disrespected him. Now he's alone and they don't even answer his calls. He was quiet for a moment. I don't want to be like Mr. Richard's children. That conversation did not fix everything immediately, but it was the first real step toward the transformation I had been waiting for 2 years. The therapy also helped. The therapist helped him understand that violence was not an acceptable response to frustration, regardless of age or circumstances. 6 months later, my house had become a completely different place. Samuel was still a teenager. He still had bad days, but he had learned real boundaries. He respected curfews, asked for permission to go out, treated his siblings with basic respect. Fiona finally admitted that she had been wrong. You were right, she told me one night. I was protecting him so much that I never taught him to face real consequences. Miguel and Sophia got their peace back in their own home. Michael started playing freely again, without fear of his older brother bothering him. Sophia invited friends over for the first time in months, and I regained something I had lost without realizing it: authority and respect as a father and as a man in my own house. Was it easy? No. Was it painful? Very much so. Do I regret it? Never in my life. Because for the first time in 2 years, when Samuel tells me, I love you, Dad, it really means something. Because now it comes from respect, not from fear or manipulation. And when Michael asks me about boundaries and consequences, I can answer him with the authority of someone who truly applied both. Last month, Samuel turned 18. In his thank you speech at his small family party, he said something I will never forget. Thank you, Dad, for not giving up on me. Thank you for teaching me that actions have real consequences. It took me a while to understand, but now I know that everything you did was because you love me enough not to let me become a terrible person. Today, a year after that night that changed everything, I can proudly say that I have 3 children who respect me, a wife who understands the importance of real boundaries, and a home where violence is not tolerated under any circumstances. Sometimes the hardest love is the love that says no more. Update 6 months later. Samuel started college last semester. He is studying social work, inspired by his experience at the nursing home. He maintains a respectful relationship with me and is protective of his siblings. For those who ask me if it was worth it, look at your children. If you feel afraid of them, if you walk on eggshells in your own home, if your other children live with anxiety because of a problematic sibling's behavior, you already have your answer. The legal system exists to protect victims of domestic violence. That includes parents. Do not feel guilty for protecting your family, even if it means protecting it from one of your own children. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.